Hey, hello, and welcome to the Whole Loaf, a holistic approach to building healthy lives and strong relationships. Tonight we are going to sweeten it up. I mean, talk about sweet. Look at this. I've got my wife on one side, I've got food stylist to the stars, Deb Murray, on the other side of me. And what are we going to cook tonight?
Oh, we're going to make something that isn't so healthy, Paul. No. But it is something that is going to make your heart flutter.
It's good, yeah, maybe with a heart attack. But no, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects tonight. Dessert. Okay, and I love bread pudding, which is what we're making here today,
exactly.
Right? I've never made it before. I have no idea in the world how it's made.
Well,
so let's go ahead and...
Oh, so one of the things about bread pudding is bread pudding was normally, when my grandmother used to make it, she was using old bread, crusts, things that you didn't want to throw away. So I was going to make the dollar stretch. But I'm doing things just a little wanky. I'm buying the most expensive bread, and I'm using it at its peak.
That's what I always worried about it. When I went to restaurants and we ate bread pudding, I kept thinking to myself, this is their leftovers from the day before.
Exactly. It should have been cheaper, right?
Yeah, it should have been. That's right.
But what we're going to use tonight, put that in your mouth. These are super buttery croissants.
Okay.
Notice all those layers of butter? When you use croissants to make bread pudding, if you thought bread pudding was good before, this just makes it even that much better.
Well, very good. So we're starting to cut up croissants.
I'm cutting up my croissants.
Okay, and now I'm a little bit thirsty. So what are you making over here?
I'm going to make a iced coffee and a hot coffee drink that are really super easy to make at home. You don't have to go to the store to actually get one of those. So super easy today. And Deb's going to make the bread pudding. I'm going to do some fun dessert that you could drink, and we'll take it away from there.
All right. We're not only talking about sweetening up the dinner table with some good desserts, we're going to challenge you to sweeten up your relationships as well. You know, one of the favorite Bible verses comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Okay, if you've ever been to a wedding, it's that love chapter, right? So it's used at almost every wedding you've ever been to. But 1 Corinthians 13 verse 5 says, love is not easily angered. All right, so love is not easily angered. So we want to sweeten up your relationship as well. So even though this is going to be good, it may not be healthy for you, we're going to try to make your relationship stronger and healthier, right? So anger is one of those emotions that is probably the most misunderstood and misapplied emotion out there. I mean, anger is not always bad, right? I mean, so it's an emotion that we have. Yeah, it kind of shocks you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, anger is not always, feeling angry is not always bad. I mean, it's a natural emotion that we have. I mean, even God, Jesus, experienced anger.
Oh, yeah.
But it was righteous, right? I mean, he did not misuse it. Okay, and so it's not the feeling of anger that's negative or bad. It's what do you do with that anger? Okay, so managed anger, or anger expressed properly, I mean, that's okay. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, is we are trying to sweeten everything up. You know, I don't know about you, but are you feeling a little frustrated? I mean, anybody?
Yep.
With everything that's going on in our world, and in all the stresses and all the pressures of work and relationships and finances and the news and everything that goes on, it seems like we're more frustrated. I don't know about you, but I mean, at times, yeah, I'm more short-tempered, all right? We're more stressed. I mean, we are in the age of rage, is what some psychologists are calling it. And it's kind of interesting because Gallup just did a poll that said most people are feeling by about 25% angrier today than they were a year ago. And so, like, anger is on the increase. Okay, but how do you express it? How do you manage it properly? All right, so what are you doing over here? And we'll talk a little bit more about sweetening things up.
Right now, I'm taking the milk. I've got 2 cups of milk here, and I'm going to dissolve 1/3 of a cup of sugar into it. Now, I'm not going to try and bring this to a boil, you guys. I'm going to actually just try and get the butter to melt. I'm putting melt. I've got 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and the sugar to dissolve, kind of disappear. Kind of
Milk,
like how I
sugar,
make
and butter,
anger
right?
go.
Yeah.
And so, and then I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla to it. And then what I've done in here is I have 2 eggs that we're going to beat up, and then we're going to have a liaison. A liaison is like a relationship. We're going to slowly add the warm cream to our eggs and beat it in. Because if we go in too fast, we get scrambled eggs.
Okay, so we're going to have a liaison.
Liaison.
Okay, very good. And so what do you, you're done over here. What do you do?
Oh my gosh.
This one is beautiful.
Okay, so what is
there's
it?
a little bit of pumpkin in it since we're entering fall soon. A little bit of vanilla, warm milk, a little bit of coffee, and like it?
Yes, it's very good. So you got coffee in here.
Coffee,
How much
warm,
milk?
There is a cup of milk, a cup of coffee. Coffee is pretty much lukewarm. You can make it as hot as you want. But just added some vanilla and some sugar, or you can use a Splenda, and a little bit of pumpkin spice.
Ooh,
Yum.
very
Isn't it
good.
fantastic?
It's so pretty. It was so fast.
This is. If you guys
The
look
next
at me,
one's
if you guys,
faster.
if you guys look at me,
Oh, look how tan you
I'm
are.
pretty well toned. Yeah, I can. Because one of my philosophies in life is if you can't tone it, tan it.
Tan it.
Right? If you can't tone it, tan it. Because tan
Tan
fat
fat.
looks much better than untanned fat.
I wanted
It's
to.
true.
That has
It's
been my
true.
philosophy for years and years.
Oh
That
my
is
gosh, you're
So if you
so
can't tone
fun.
it, simply tan it. And living down here in Florida all year long, that is a good thing. It
You
helps,
are
it helps me live my
absolutely-
life
it
the way
is.
it is.
You are so fun.
So I find that most couples, when you're in a relationship and anger enters in, people either blow up or they clam up, don't they?
Oh,
You're either
yeah.
a turtle or you're a skunk. You know what I mean? A turtle, they duck their head in and they hide and pretend that it's not there. They try to ignore it, or you just stink the entire place up. It's one or the other. You either blow up or you clam up. So what do you do? Okay, I mean, if you're experiencing anger, that short-temperedness, that frustration, I mean, what do you do? How do you manage anger? Okay, well, one, you need to resolve to manage it. In other words, you need to make a choice that I'm going to manage my anger appropriately, that I'm going to manage it and express it properly. All right, so it's like we've said before, love is a choice. In the scripture it says, follow the way of love. Well, you can't tell somebody you can't command an emotion, right? You
Right.
can't command the child to stop crying. You can't command somebody to be happy.
Right.
So you can't command somebody to love if it was only an emotion.
Right.
Okay, it's a choice. Well, the same thing is true with anger. Okay, when people say, oh, you just made me so mad. You just made me so angry. No, nobody can make you angry. You chose
That's a good
to
point.
be
Makes
angry.
sense.
That's a very
All right,
good
so
point.
first and foremost, recognize it. I mean, I think there's great power in recognizing what you're struggling with in life. So recognize and decide to resolve it. Two, decide in advance. I used to beat this lesson into my kids. Did you see all the sugar and butter she just put in there?
I was trying to quiet out the whole thing. I was being
The
very,
healthy
very
part is
quiet.
the relationship part tonight, not the food part.
Not
Although
the bourbon and the
it's
sugar
gonna
and
be-
the butter.
It's going to be good. Okay, so what
Bourbon.
did you just do here? I heard bourbon.
It is now.
Okay.
All right, so we put a third of a cup of really good bourbon in here, a stick of butter, and a cup of sugar. And this is going to be the amazing sauce that's going to go over
Okay, this
our
is the bourbon
croissant
sauce.
That looks
bread
great.
pudding.
That's sugar, butter, and
Oh,
a third
and
of a
egg
cup of
yolks.
bourbon. And egg yolks. How many egg yolks do you have?
We're going to have 2 egg yolks, and it's going to be another one of those liaison
Another
things.
liaison.
Another liaison.
Maybe
We're
that's
gonna
our
be
lesson for
talking.
next week. Will be liaisons.
I love it.
All right, so we're simply melting the sugar
Melting the
and
sugar
the butter
and the
over
butter
here.
into the
Not done.
bourbon.
Okay, and you're
I'm not done.
busily making a drink
Yes.
over here. But anyway, I have always told my kids that you need to decide in advance. Okay, what's right, what's wrong. You need to decide in advance what you're going to do. So when you find yourself in the heat of something, that you don't fall to peer pressure.
Right.
You know what you're
Give
going
it
to
thought.
do. You know how you're going to respond. Right? And so we need to resolve to change it. We need to resolve to manage our anger. Secondly, I think we need to remember, and don't ever forget this, anger has a cost, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, anger has a cost. Proverbs 14 says like this, a quick-tempered person does foolish things. Okay, have you ever done something foolish based off of an emotion?
Yep.
You were angry or you were sad or upset about something and you made a rash decision that has lasting impact.
Like answering an email too quickly.
Oh,
you
yes,
know? I mean,
exactly.
I told you I had a friend that I absolutely adored, and I didn't respond to the email they sent me. Had I waited a while and thought about what I was responding, was I right? Would you rather be right? Would you rather be happy? And
Yeah.
I think I would rather be happy.
Yeah, that's right. So responding to that text. If somebody sends you a text that maybe you didn't take the right way or was offensive in some way, that made you angry, slow down. You don't need to answer it right away. Think about what you're going to do first. I've always heard it said, you always lose when you lose your temper. You always lose when you lose your temper. And so I think one of the things you can do is just reflect. Just wait. Slow down before acting. There's great power in waiting. Right? I mean, you were just sharing a story that you
Right.
had where somebody made you upset.
Yeah, last night I had a very dear friend that said something very mean to me, and obviously I understood that there were circumstances that caused that, but I chose not to react.
Yeah.
I chose to take it to Christ. I took it to my prayers, thought it over, and then when I did respond, I was happy with how I responded, and
Yeah.
the relationship is safer because of it. If I had done what I wanted to do last night, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
so there's great power in
You're
waiting, right? So I
Yeah.
love what you did because it's just a wait. You know, and you're not ignoring it. You're not putting it on the back burner and pretending it never happened. We're just telling you to slow down a little bit. Think about what you're going to say before you speak. You know, and you said you prayed. I mean,
did.
powerful.
Yep.
You pray for the other person. You pray
I
for
did,
wisdom
very
and
much.
how.
I got that
you know,
from our message in church this weekend.
Yeah, we said that a while back. So, you know, when you pray, you may not always change the other person, but you're always going to change you. And so prayer is powerful. That's one of the ways that you can calm yourself down.
Yep.
Right? You know, or you kind of go out and get some exercise or do whatever it is that takes you to your happy place where you can kind of calm down a little bit. But one of the great powerful things is just wait before you respond.
I have been waiting patiently for him to
I
respond.
saw that.
Did you see how patient I was? Okay, now all this
You're
is
so cute.
there was a lot of gelato. You can buy whatever flavor you'd like, and a little bit of coffee, some whipped cream, and just
Oh, I like this one
dress
better.
up the top.
I knew she had it with gelato.
Yeah. Well, gelato and
Gelato
chocolate.
and
huh?
coffee.
And I- that's
all
true.
your fingers.
And let me tell you, when I opened this up tonight, I expected there already to be a couple of bites missing. I was so impressed that you
I was
really
very-
took care of
He was
yourself.
saving himself.
Absolutely.
I was afraid you'd be angry with me if I ate it, and you don't want to see that.
No.
You just don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Pastor,
And
you're
so,
so
what are
fun.
you doing here right
Okay, so over here we made bourbon sauce, which you really,
now? Bourbon,
bourbon, butter,
butter,
egg
sugar.
yolks, and
Oh,
sugar.
and how many egg yolks?
2 egg yolks.
And it had,
That's
oh my
delicious.
goodness. And it had
That's
a
pretty
liaison.
amazing. That had a liaison.
Okay, a liaison.
So over
We missed
here,
it. We missed the
we
liaison.
took our croissants. We made the custard by dissolving the sugar. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't make it like to a simmer. We then slowly poured it into the eggs. That's called the liaison, so we
Okay.
didn't get scrambled eggs. We added in our croissants. See how wet it is
Yes.
compared to
Yeah.
a lot of bread pudding? Now, knowing that I knew Suzanne was gonna come with big guns tonight. Ice cream, chocolate, coffee. So I'm going to make Pastor's bread pudding even better.
They know me well. I love
Yes.
chocolate bread pudding,
And then we can top it with some fresh berries, but we're gonna pop this in the oven in a little bit of a water bath. What a water bath does, Pastor, is putting water around anything that you, like cheesecake or custards, when you're cooking in the oven, keeps it moist. Wait till you see how moist ours comes out.
Now, it's kind of interesting you said that. So for the bread pudding, but I've done the same thing with, honestly, with like meat and stuff that I'm cooking
No
for a long
kidding,
period of
that's
time.
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't-
like braised
It just kind
and
of made sense
Yep.
to me to keep if you keep moisture in there.
That's very smart. You know, that's how you make bread too.
Okay, is it?
If
Okay.
you really want to get like a nice little crust on your French bread, you like the artisan ovens actually squirt mist down on them, but you can squirt with a
Okay.
spray bottle or put water inside your oven. And there's actually really expensive steam ovens
Yeah.
out there that you get great results for your salmon or your meats when you're cooking.
Yeah, when I make bread, I go to Publix, the bakery section, and you have all choices, of the different
You are
types of
too
breads,
fun.
of the breads that you want to make there.
You are too fun.
Yeah. So
I like the part that you told me about slowing down with anger all sounded really good. I like that you said it's okay that I can have anger, which I think is really good. But I think you should have some of this.
I will.
Okay.
So like when you have when you're experiencing anger and you're gonna sit down and talk it out, remember you want to reflect before you act. You want to think before you speak. And when you sit down with somebody you love, somebody you're in a relationship with, and I've said it before, so often the ones we love the most are the ones we hurt the easiest because we take them for granted. And we always assume that they're going to be there, and then one day they're not. All right? And so anger can be extremely destructive. And so use the I statements. Like, I feel upset when this takes place. And so when you have that conversation, you want to keep your anger under control, right? You want to keep it stabilized. You go low and slow. Okay, remember that. Burn low and slow. A soft startup. Okay, like if I came home and I'm hot under the collar and I'm loud and I'm aggressive, how do you think she's going to respond? Right? I mean, if somebody speaks angrily to you, how do you respond? You normally respond in anger, right? If they raise their voice, you normally raise your voice. It's just going to snowball and nothing good is going to come out of it. All right? And so start low and slow. A soft startup, I statements normally ends well. So a soft startup means it's going to be a good finish and a good ending.
Like a liaison?
Yeah, like a liaison. Yeah, your own little. We're going down the wrong path. But you know what? I mean, and anger, just express it properly.
Right.
I don't know about you, but so often, we can be sarcastic, can't we?
Right.
Okay, you're angry, so you respond in sarcasm. And you might think it's funny, but they normally don't, all right? And so, manipulation is another thing we try to do because we always try to control what's happening, right? You just may blow up, you might clam up, or you even just kind of act out crazily with some crazy behavior. So we need to be aware of it. So first and foremost, resolve to manage it. Remember, don't forget, it has a cost, right? And reflect or think before you act and before you speak. All right, use those I statements, burn low and slow and express it properly. And never forget, you're not alone. You're not alone. The one who created you, the one who loves you, promises to be with you every step of the way. And he wants us to have strong, healthy relationships. All right, so strong, healthy relationships. And once again, this looks absolutely positively delicious.
I think that you should do it for our viewers at home.
Okay.
And again, the croissant, my folks up at the VFW, they just love it. They just love the texture. It's a little smoother, don't you think, than...
Yes, it's very delicious. It's very delicious.
It's cute. I have to tell a quick story about my daughter, Navarre. Like, Navarre and I love food, and we love cooking together, and we have a very healthy, good relationship. She's my best friend. But she told me this morning when I was saying that we were doing bread pudding, she goes, Mom, Christmas morning, because I always made it with eggnog, and it was a tradition to have bread pudding in the morning. And she said, Mom, I used to like the eggnog bread pudding more than the presents.
Oh, really?
So isn't that
Yep.
sweet? That's
Yeah.
very
It's
sweet.
the power of tradition.
The
There's something else
power
we
of
need to talk
tradition,
about
yeah,
too. It
because
helps
you'll
keep
want to
families
add this.
together, huh?
Add this to
Yeah.
your holiday collection because it's easy and it gives you time to, relax and enjoy. It's not a timely thing. And once they start getting that bourbon sauce, it's a lot less pressure.
One thing I love about these cooking shows that we're doing is like the only time every week I get a home cooked meal.
That's true.
Okay, and tonight I'm not even
You're
because we
not
make
gonna get
desserts.
hungry.
I'm not making.
You're not gonna get any
No,
sleep.
no.
Remember, respond your anger appropriately.
Okay.
Manage and express properly.
Yes.
All right, but once again, another phenomenal meal
Absolutely.
dessert tonight. And whatever you do, don't forget, if you can't tone it, tan it. All right? You have a great night. God bless and live love.